Good morning to you. Hold your cup of Java up. Oh, look where you are. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I can handle that. Oh man, I miss that place very much. I'm sorry about that, but I just miss it. Was like my home for so long. My home away from home. I just miss the booth. But yeah, well, I'm sure you take care. I'm sure you have that respect at home for your stuff. Well, have there been people coming in on a daily basis, or what's the deal? Hmm. Well, that's not cool, man. I know it's for the community, but we still have to be respectful. Yeah, I know, I know. I'm sorry, buddy. Um, so, okay, all right. I'm all set. All right, buddy.
Good morning, Acadiana, and thank you for tuning in to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Advocate of Acadiana. We bring you this public service every Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. You can catch Local News Live. That's us reading the news that the Advocate prints on a daily basis. We come out and read it on the weekdays at least. We could not provide this service without the generous efforts of our volunteer newsreaders, people like the wonderful Mr. Bruce Cohen, who is here with us this morning. Bruce, thanks so much for being here to read this morning.
Well, as always, Matt, it's my pleasure to participate in this very worthy program that we have for our community. It's essential that the people out there that don't get the news on a regular basis can hear the news from us. So that's a very important deal. And thank you for always being the man at the helm, or the person at the helm, I should say.
Well,
I appreciate it very much.
I am glad to do it, Bruce, and I am going to go listen on Cypress Street. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Matt. Well, good morning, Acadiana. Welcome to Friday, December 11th, 2020. We've got a lot of news to get into. We've got a lot of entertainment news this morning as well. So let me launch right into it. Of course, the first couple of stories will be coronavirus related. First story is Edwards. Shots may begin this weekend. More than 200,000 in-state and first priority group for vaccine. Article by Sam Carlin. With the first health workers in Louisiana expected to get shots of a new COVID-19 vaccine as early as this weekend, Governor John Bel Edwards on Thursday said as many as 159,000 people could receive first of 2 injections by the end of December, representing a significant chunk of the first group of patients slated for the vaccines. Between 200,000 and 215,000 people are estimated to be in the first priority group for the vaccines, according to the state health department figures. That includes 75,000 to 80,000 residents and staff of nursing homes and other long-term care facilities, and between 125,000 and 135,000 health workers. It is possible that late this weekend, early next week, we will actually have and be administering the Pfizer vaccine in Louisiana, Edwards said. Although Edwards said he expected the first shots to be administered in the coming days, he cautioned it will be months before the vaccine is available to a wide enough swath of the population to beat back the pandemic. Meanwhile, cases and hospitalizations in Louisiana continue to spike, worrying the governor and health leaders about whether the hospitals will be able to deliver care if the trajectory doesn't change. Still, the governor said, at present, I am not considering additional restrictions, though he said he would institute them if hospitalizations continue to soar. Although the vaccine is promising news, Edwards said it is not going to save us now. Hospitalizations are at a trajectory we cannot sustain for much longer if we want to preserve that capacity to deliver life-saving care, he said. The U.S. saw 3,000 more COVID-19 deaths from Wednesday through Thursday, including 40 in Louisiana alone, bringing the state's death toll to 6,426. Hospitalizations in Louisiana hurt near the summer peak of 1,600 when Edwards instituted a statewide closure of bars and mask mandate. The previous peak in the spring was 2,134. Louisiana added another 13,406 cases over the past 7 days, more than double the 6,065 cases confirmed the week ending November 12th. The share of tests coming back positive shot up from 4.6% to 8.4% in the same time period. Pending federal approvals, officials expect 39,000 doses of Pfizer's vaccine will start being injected into health workers as early as weekend or early next week, followed by another 40,000 doses the following week. Around December 27th, the state expects 80,000 doses of a separate vaccine by Moderna, as well as weekly shipments of dozens of vaccines beyond that. Shortly after Edwards' news conference, a U.S. government advisory panel endorsed the widespread use of Pfizer's vaccine. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is expected to sign off within days. The federal government has pledged to provide the second round of shots for each of those vaccines, meaning the state doesn't need to hold back half of the doses. Pfizer's vaccine requires a second injection 21 days later, and Moderna's requires another shot 28 days later. The Pfizer vaccine doses, which need to be stored at extremely cold temperatures, will largely go to hospitals to immunize health workers who work with or near COVID-19 patients. The Moderna vaccines will likely go to nursing homes and other long-term care facilities. The governor noted the first allocation of vaccines based on each state's adult population will not be enough to cover even the relatively small number of people in the first priority group. It's not clear how many vaccines will be provided on a weekly basis after that, though Edwards said the Trump administration has told them to expect doses each week and to expect the number to steadily increase. Louisiana has nearly 4.7 million residents. Although also unclear as who exactly is next in line for the vaccine. After all, eligible health workers and nursing homes receive them. The federal government hasn't unveiled detailed guidance about the next phases, though Louisiana has sketched out its priority groups. Edwards said he will largely follow the federal guidance, but will also take into consideration how full hospitals are and what type of patients are populating them. Even after Edwards put Louisiana back into a modified version of phase 2 of coronavirus restrictions last month, the state has continued to see pandemic metrics soar. In particular, the share of tests coming back positive or percent positivity has concerned state and federal health officials. 48 of 64 parishes had percent positivity of 10% or more. Government officials say anything over 5% is troubling. Dr. Lester Wayne Johnson of LSU Health Shreveport and University Health Conway and Monroe urged people not to let up on following restrictions with the vaccine so close, liking it to being in the red zone on a football field. We need to not let up for a second now that we can hopefully see the end of this century plague, he said. In New Orleans, officials believe they may soon have to shut down bars to indoor service again after seeing 1 week of more than 5% positivity. The governor's order allows bars to stay open if the parish has a rate of less than 5% for 2 weeks, but if the parish exceeds 5% for 2 weeks, they must shut down again. New Orleans Health Department Director Jennifer Vengo on Thursday pleaded with residents to follow the guidelines on masks and social distancing. The city cut the number of fans allowed in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome for the highly anticipated Suns game against the Kansas City Chiefs on December 30th to 3,000, and there will be more on that when we get to our sports stories. Previous games saw 6,000 fans in attendance, and the team expected to see 15,000 fans in the stands this month. Continuing with the coronavirus news, cases rise again in nursing homes by Famone A. Roberts III and Yusuf Radad. Coronavirus infections among Louisiana's nursing homes residents are hitting levels not seen since the peak of the second wave in August, a worrying trend even with the prospect of the first doses of a vaccine being administered by the end of the month. Nursing homes reported more than 400 new COVID-19 cases among residents in the past week, the most since mid-August. Similarly, there were 365 new infections around nursing home staff, considered the most likely way for a virus to gain a foothold in the homes, also the highest since August. The numbers give rise to fears that the virus could once again wreak havoc among the state's most vulnerable residents, just days or weeks before inoculations were able to begin. Governor John Bel Edwards said Thursday that the state could receive its first allotments of the Moderna vaccine, which state officials are dedicating to nursing homes and long-term care facility residents and staff by the end of the month. We're very concerned about our congregate settings, Edwards said. When you have high degrees of community spread, it is virtually impossible to keep the virus out. COVID-19's impact on nursing homes is well documented. The state's roughly 23,000 nursing home residents have accounted for less than 5% of the state's confirmed coronavirus cases, but approximately 43% of the state's 6,426 deaths as of Thursday. In response, the state ordered a variety of measures to control spread, from lockdowns to strict no-contact visitation policies to increased testing. But as cases have climbed across Louisiana during the past month, cases in nursing homes have also risen. This go-around is most vividly illustrated in Washita Parish in northeast Louisiana, where the state reported a 17.7 positivity rate for the week that ended December 2nd. 3 Monroe homes were among the 10 that reported double-digit cases in the past week. The biggest increase was in the Northeast Louisiana War Veterans Home in Monroe, where there were 23 new infections. That's more than half of the 45 total infections the home has reported since the start of the pandemic in March. Brandy Patrick, a spokesperson for the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs, said the agency noticed parallels between high numbers of cases in the community translating to infections within veteran homes. As we have done throughout this COVID-19 pandemic, we continue to follow all updated CDC and Louisiana Department of Health protocols for delivering care at our veterans' homes. Patrick said that the Veterans Affairs Department has been testing residents weekly at 5 long-term care homes the agency operates in the state. With positivity rates climbing throughout much of Louisiana, some have begun testing twice per week. A veterans home in Reserve and another in Jackson have been also hotspots for the virus, logging 36 and 25 deaths respectively, and dozens of infections since March. 2 other homes in Monroe, Avalon Place Nursing and Ridgecrest Community Care Center, also reported 17 new cases each in the past week. Officials at those facilities did not respond to requests for comment. Homes scattered around the rest of the state also reported significant numbers of new cases. Near Baton Rouge, infections at Lakeview Manor and Point Coupee Parish more than doubled from the previous week after the New Rose facility reported 15 new cases, bringing its total to 29. At least 8 employees also tested positive for the virus there. New Orleans East, Ferncrest Manor Living Center reported 11 new cases. A message left for the home's administrator was not returned. Bayou Vista Community in Monkey reported 10 new cases. A spokesperson from Mandeville-based ComCare, which operates Bayou Vista, said testing had increased and staff members have been vigilant about their use of personal protective equipment or PPE, which was scarce in the early days of the pandemic. The home's residents, Lisa Gardner said, did not seem to be getting cases that were as severe as earlier this year. One resident who tested positive has had to be hospitalized. Another had some respiratory issues that were beginning to be managed at the home, and the rest of the cases were asymptomatic or just fighting fatigue, she said. In other parts of the state, Leslie Lake's Retirement Center in Arcadia reported 19 new cases. Haven Nursing Center in Columbia reported 15 new cases. The vaccine offers a ray of hope, Edwards said, but it could be weeks before it is actually deployed. Emergency authorization of the Pfizer vaccine is expected in days, but those doses will go to critical healthcare workers in hospitals and emergency medical technicians, Edwards said. The Moderna vaccine, which could be authorized next week, will be dedicated to the residents and staff in long-term care facilities. Those doses could go out by the end of the month, Edwards said. But he urged people to continue taking precautions. While the vaccine will be critical in getting us out of the pandemic, it is not going to save us now, Edwards said. Okay, looking at the first couple of public service announcements for the morning. ARC of Acadiana needs your help to provide safe housing for the homeless. Due to the COVID-19 and concerns of community spread, there has been a dramatic decrease in available shelter beds in Acadiana. Those beds will remain unavailable throughout the winter. That means many experiencing homelessness may have no other option than to sleep on the street. Throughout this pandemic, ARC of Acadiana has been able to utilize local hotel and motel rooms as a temporary housing solution. From there, case managers help our fellow Acadians transition to more permanent housing. We're very proud of our success in keeping those we serve safe from COVID-19 and on their way to long-term stability. However, the number of homeless is growing and winter is here. We need your help to get our neighbors out of the cold and into the warm, safe housing. If you want to help, excuse me. If you wish to help, you can go to www.arch, that's ARCH, Acadiana.org, or if you prefer to donate by check, you can mail it to ARC, ARCH, P.O. Box 3936, Lafayette, LA 70502. Also needed at this time of the year, especially this time of this year in 2020, Vitalant has an urgent need for blood donations. Blood and platelet donations often drop during the holiday months as fewer donors are available because of seasonal activities and illnesses. But this year, the outlook is particularly worrisome, with many schools transition to virtual learning and businesses in work-from-home situations. About 1,600 Vitalant blood drives have already been canceled for November and December. Currently, there is an urgent need for O-negative blood, universal blood type that all patients can receive. O-negative donors can maximize their impact by giving a power red donation. Vitalant encourages donors to make an appointment by visiting Vitalant, that's VITALANT.org, or by calling 877-25-VITAL, that's 877-25-VITAL. Okay, getting back into our news, we have a couple of stories here that are not coronavirus related, which is a little strange, but still they're light news or news that can bring more light into our day. Let's put it that way. Trailblazer Award winner encourages lifting others up. United Way honors 10 women by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. Phyllis Coleman Mouton learned from her mother at a young age how to play poker. By the time she was 13, she formed a neighborhood poker club in which players bet with sticks of gum. It was her mother, she recalled, who went to lanes that were uncommon in the segregated area of the early 1960s to expose her to new things, such as attending academic events at Southern University at age 15, or helping to integrate Mall Carmel Academy in Lafayette at age 16. Mouton, who was honored with a Trailblazer Award during Wednesday's Women Who Mean Business Awards, credited her mother and others during her formative years for her success as a professional. My mother was a person who taught me great values, Mouton said. She taught me that I had an obligation to help others, our families, our neighborhood friends, and our community. She encouraged me to use my voice, my abilities, my will to create positive change. She taught me to open those doors and emphasize the need to help others come through, she said. Pull somebody up, Phyllis. Mouton was one of 10 women honored during Wednesday's virtual event presented by Home Bank and United Way of Acadiana. Others honored include Tita Bagnall of Broad Bridge Tourism, Kelly Chris, Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Acadiana, orthodontist Dr. Melanie Fowler, Holly Howat, Director of Beacon Community Connections, Anita Levy of the Levy Cancer Foundation, Dr. Amanda Case-Lug, Chief Medical Officer with Ochsner Lafayette General, Linda Peters of LA Cardiovascular and Limb Salvage Center, Lee Rachel, Executive Director for Acadiana Regional Coalition on Homelessness and Housing, Executive Director, and Irma Trusclair, Lafayette Parish School Superintendent. Baton was born and raised in Lafayette, was Vice President of Workforce and Economic Development at Baton Rouge Community College from 1997 until her retirement in 2017, where she was named Distinguished Retiree. She was also the first Black woman to be named president of the Rotary Club of Baton Rouge, the fourth largest club in the world with more than 500 members. She was also the first Black person to be named interim CEO of the Capital Area United Way. Women should work together to increase female representation on public and private boards and leadership positions, she said. I've always looked for ways to use my voice to open doors to positive change and success, especially success for Black girls and Black women, Mouton said. We should be committed to impactful change. We should help each other as women to ensure that our voices are heard. Okay. Staying with the light news for a moment, the Baton Rouge African American History Museum moving. Expansion comes 1 year after founder's death by Terry L. Jones. The Baton Rouge African American History Museum is relocating and expanding. The move comes more than 1 year after its beloved founder, community activist Sadie Roberts Joseph, was tragically killed in July of 2019. City Parish is entering into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the museum that will allow the site to move into a City Parish building sometime next year. The agreement was unanimously approved by the East Baton Rouge Parish Metro Council on Wednesday. We've been in ongoing discussions with the family and the city wanting to do something in her honor, said Darrell Giesel, the City Parish's Chief Administrative Officer. Sadie always had a great following of people who came to town to go to the museum. It's a great tourism aspect. Roberts Joseph founded the museum at its current location, 538 South Boulevard, in 2001. She also gained popularity in the community for organizing at the annual Juneteenth festival at the museum. The museum not only showcases prominent figures and historical events involving Black people across the nation, it also is a treasure trove of local Black history as well. Through her community activism, Roberts Joseph preached unity and togetherness in her efforts to help Baton Rouge heal from the legacy of slavery and oppression. The 75-year-old activist was found suffocated in the trunk of her car in July of 2019. The man accused of killing her was her tenant. Police said he was about $1,200 behind in rent. Her death sent emotional shockwaves throughout the community. The museum will move into the City Parish's Municipal Annex building at 805 St. Louis Street after its current tenants have relocated, Gissel said. The museum board had plans to renovate the space and to expand the museum, which is in a small house underneath Interstate 10 in Old South Baton Rouge. Gissel said the museum board will pay for those renovations to the more than 7,000 square foot space. This is exciting, Councilwoman Tara Wicker said during the Metro Council's consideration of the agreement on Wednesday. That museum has been a significant part of this community. Councilwoman Erica Green added, I'm glad Baton Rouge is taking the opportunity to expand the museum, grow into a place where we can truly showcase the history of our culture. Okay. Turning to the town of Esterwood. Esterwood mourns death of Mayor Pop, a real gem by Katie Gagliano. Esterwood Mayor Donald Pop Sr., civic leader and pastor who was remembered as a generous and committed family man who lived like he preached, died at his home Wednesday night. Pop's death was announced in a Facebook post by the Esterwood Police Department on Thursday morning that called for community prayers after the village lost a great man. Pop was elected to lead the Acadia Parish Village in 2018 in an unopposed race. He briefly served two terms as an alderman, winning seats in 2010 and 2014, according to the Louisiana Secretary of State's office website. Jody Wilkerson, Pop's daughter, said the 78-year-old died from cancer after the disease metastasized to his lungs. Pop was first diagnosed with prostate cancer in 2012, which in 2016 spread to his bones and eventually his lungs. Wilkerson said his father hid his latest cancer diagnosis from his family to preserve the time they had left, and she thinks to avoid worrying his wife of 38 years, Priscilla. The family didn't learn how the cancer spread until just before his death, as his health deteriorated. The whole time his wife was by his side, his daughter said. He was having trouble breathing, so she kneeled in front of him, and he bent over and hugged her. When he hugged her, he said, "I can breathe like this. It doesn't hurt." She stayed in that position between 5 and 6 hours, I'd say. "Mama, let me take your place." And she said, "No, this is my place." She would never let him go, Wilkerson said. His deaths have been a blow to the couple's 7 children, 16 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. Wilkerson said Pop was the kind of man who loved his family when they didn't love themselves, and showed that love through acts of service, sacrificing and investing quality time in relationships. It was the little things like spending hours with his grandchildren fishing, to the big things like quitting his job as a Citigroup regional executive in Dallas to return hope and help care for Wilkerson's youngest child, now 25, who at 6 was diagnosed with leukemia. He was everything good put into one man, his daughter said. "I'm going to miss knowing my mom is okay because my dad is here. The way he hugged my boys, the way he told them it was okay and that men do cry, I'm just going to miss all of him, everything about him," Wilkerson said tearfully. As to word clerk, Floyd Smith said Pop was a real gem who loved his neighbors, his village, and his employees. He knew the village needed a financial performance overhaul and was committed to making improvements. Smith said she praised his successor has the same passion. The clerk said it's the little things she'll miss about Pop, his friendly demeanor, his care addressing the staff, conversations about his grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and his love of fishing. He always came in here whistling or had a song he would sing, and that he never, ever neglected to see if we were all okay, Smith said, choking back tears. Estwood Police Sergeant Emily Mayer, who also serves as an alderwoman, praised Pop's leadership of the village and his drive to move the village forward, noting his hard work to score recent grants and his ongoing effort to acquire a backup generator for the village's water plant to keep the system operating during power outages. Pop worked hard to right the things as the town weathered a tough financial period, she said. Wilkerson said her father was also passionate about improving the experience of living in Estherwood and was committed to the improved beautification of the village and bringing back events like carnivals and seasonal fairs to provide entertainment options. Beyond his work as mayor, Pop also served as a pastor. He led Believers Baptist Fellowship Church in Estherwood until his cancer made the work unmanageable, then turned to recording and sharing religious sermons online to reach a new audience and continue his ministry. His religious life began in his mid-20s when he encountered a preacher who helped him turn his life from a bad path, Wilkerson said. He devoted 7 years to biblical study at the now closed Tennessee Temple College before becoming a pastor. He served in ministry during his Citigroup career and in retirement. It was his true passion, she said. While working for Citigroup in Dallas, Pop purchased a building and served as his church and ministered to the homeless, the outcast, and others who were low income, struggling, or turned away from other churches. He and his wife fed homeless people through an outreach program several times per week and provided coats and other necessities in the winter, Wilkerson said. He continued to serve the low income and those in need when he returned to Louisiana, his daughter said. Mira said her conversations with Pop extended to faith and living as a Christian, and she appreciated his spiritual guidance. He had integrity and good character and was the kind of person who lived as he preached, she said. He proved his talk. He didn't talk the talk and not walk the walk. He walked it, Mira said. Okay, moving on to our next story. Before we head into the half-hour mark, we'll do the day in history, the zodiac or horoscope, as I like to call it, and the funerals in the Acadiana area for today. Murder suspect believed hiding in St. Tammany. Crime blotter put together by the Advocate staff reports. The search continues for the man wanted in connection to the death of a former University of Louisiana and Lafayette football player. Crime Stoppers and the U.S. Marshal Service Fugitive Task Force believe the suspect, Tejuan Renard Burnett, is hiding in St. Tammany Parish and is considered armed and dangerous, according to a Crime Stoppers Facebook post. Burnett is accused of fatally shooting former UL wide receiver Al Riles in Fort Worth, Texas on November 7th. Police said Riles was shot in the back after what witnesses described as a not-so-serious argument with Burnett, who was identified as his best friend. Burnett is 5 feet 7 inches, weighs 130 pounds. He has a tattoo on his right arm that says "Heartless" with a picture of a broken heart. Those who may have any information on the whereabouts of Bernard are asked to contact law enforcement. Man accused of sexual abuse of child, a 44-year-old Bridge man, was arrested Thursday on a sexual battery count involving a child victim, according to the St. Martin Parish Sheriff's Office. On September 29th, detectives received a complaint of alleged indecent behavior with a juvenile, according to a statement from the Sheriff's Office. During the investigation, detectives were also able to attend an arrest warrant for Corey Terrio of Broke Ridge. He was arrested Thursday morning on one count of oral sexual battery and booked into the St. Martin Parish Correctional Center. No bail was set as of Tuesday. All right, just a couple more public service announcements before we transition into the half-hour portion of our broadcast this morning. Safe location for holiday online person-to-person exchanges. During the holiday season, online person-to-person sales are an easy way for sellers to make holiday cash and buyers to score a deal. But meeting a stranger to complete the transaction could put both parties in a dangerous situation. The Lafayette Consolidated Government, or LCG, safe exchange location at the Lafayette Police Department is the safest location to carry out exchanges. District 3 City Councilwoman Liz Hebert spearheaded the effort, and since opening the location in 2016 has received tremendous feedback from citizens. The safe exchange location has given people a sense of security and comfort when meeting to exchange a product, and it deters crime, decreasing the likelihood of becoming a victim of a scam, robbery, or assault, she said. According to Lafayette Police Department Public Information Officer Wayne Griffin, crime increases during the holidays. This time of year, we usually see an uptick in calls to report stealing, robbing, and shoplifting. The public can feel safe knowing exchanges are monitored by a police officer, making citizens less vulnerable to crime, he said. The site is secured with cameras capturing the transaction of vehicles and is located in the parking lot across the street from the police department. Upon arrival, citizens should call the number on the sign, and an officer will monitor the transaction using a live video feed. Mayor President Josh Guillory added, "I encourage our citizens to use a safe exchange location year-round, but especially during the holidays when, unfortunately, criminals take advantage of others. We want our citizens to feel secure in knowing the site minimizes the risk of danger." Location is also used for court-appointed and not court-ordered child custody exchanges, offering a neutral and less stressful spot to transfer belongings and hand off children to the other parent without having to walk inside the department. Okay, let's go into our day in history. Today is Friday, December 11th. It's the 346th day of 2020, and there are potentially 20 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history, or less than that actually, because of Christmas is December 25th, but you could get some New Year's gifts as well. And last night was the first night of the great Jewish holiday, Hanukkah. Tonight's highlight in history, on December 11th, 1936, Britain's King Edward VIII abdicated the throne so he could marry American divorcee Wallace Walford Simpson. His brother Prince Albert became King George VI. On this date, in 1816, Indiana became the 19th state. In 1844, the first experimental use of an inhaled anesthetic in dentistry took place as Dr. Horace Wells of Hartford, Connecticut, under the influence of nitrous oxide, had a colleague extract one of his teeth. 1941, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States. The U.S. responded in kind. 1946, the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, or UNICEF, was established. 1964, singer-songwriter Sam Cooke was shot to death by a motel manager in Los Angeles. He was 33. 1972, Apollo 17 lunar module landed on the moon with astronauts Eugene Cernan and Harrison Schmitt on board. They became the last two men to date to step onto the lunar surface. 1997, more than 150 countries agreed at a global warming conference in Kyoto, Japan, to control the Earth's greenhouse gases. 1998, a majority of Republicans on the House Judiciary Committee pushed through 3 articles of impeachment against President Bill Clinton over Democratic objections. 2001, the first criminal indictment stemming from 9/11, federal prosecutors charged Zacharias Moussa, a French citizen of Moroccan descent, with conspiring to murder thousands in the suicide hijackings. Moussa pleaded guilty to conspiracy in 2005 and was sentenced to life in prison. In 2008, former NASDAQ chairman Bernie Madoff was arrested, accused of running a multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme that wiped out the life savings of thousands of people and wrecked charities. Madoff is serving a 150-year federal prison sentence. 2018, a man who had been flagged as a possible extremist sprayed gunfire near the famous Christmas market in the French city of Strasbourg, killing 3 people and wounded 13 others. A suspect died in a shootout with police 2 days later. A 4th person wounded in the attack later died. 10 years ago, Auburn quarterback Cam Newton won the Heisman Trophy, and he's now the leading quarterback for the New England Patriots. 5 years ago, President Barack Obama signed legislation keeping government agencies open into the following week, giving White House and congressional bargainers more time to complete sweeping deals on taxes and federal spending. 1 year ago, Israel's parliament failed to meet a midnight deadline to form a coalition government, triggering an unprecedented third election in a 12-month period. Excuse me, let me take a little sip of coffee here. Thank you, it's a little better. Today's birthday, actor Rita Moreno is 89 years old today. Go Rita. Pop singer David Gates from the group Band. Remember the group Band, the group Bread, the group Band. Well, there was a group called the Band, but this was David Gates from the group Bread. Is 80 years old today. Former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is 77. Singer Brenda Lee is 76. Music producer Tony Brown, 74. Actor Terry Garr, 73. Actor Bess Armstrong, 67. Singer Jermaine Jackson of the Jackson 5 is 66 years old today. Rock musician Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue is 62. Rock musician Darryl Jones of the Rolling Stones is 59. Let's see. Actor comedian Monique is 53. Rapper actor Mos Def is 47. I like him. He's pretty good. He's a very good actor, actually. Actor Ryder Strong is 41. And actor Haley Steinfeld is 24. Okay, moving on with the horoscope today. Sagittarius, November 23rd through December 21st. Refuse to let anyone interrupt what you're trying to accomplish or entice you with something that sounds exciting but risky. Control your emotions and maintain honesty and integrity. Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. Be a good listener, and you will gain insight into what others want. A positive change at home will bring you closer to someone you love and set the stage for a brighter future. And Sagittarius, which I read before, is my wife's birth sign. Capricorn is my oldest son's birth sign. Aquarius, January 20th through February 19th, a dynamic approach to what you will do will help you improve your skills, knowledge, and ability to advance. Don't waste time on something you cannot change. Pisces, February 20th through March 20th. Personal improvement will make you feel good about what you have to offer. It's best to find out where you stand. If you want to ease stress, make a romantic gesture. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. A lifestyle change will boost your morale and prompt you to pursue knowledge and skills that are engaging and will help you reach your long-term goals. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. Spend time with people who share your interests and goals, whether it's through a virtual connection or someone you share space with. The outcome will ease strength and encourage you. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. My youngest son's birth sign is information to help offered and will not turn out well. Clarify what you need and what you want before you include others in your plans. Rely on your ability to get things done by yourself. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. Try something new and exciting. A show of affection will encourage a positive change in a meaningful relationship. An unusual offer will be a stepping stone to advance. Leos, July 23rd through August 22nd. If you let your emotions take over, you will find it challenging to deal with what others do or say. Take care of responsibilities and move on to pleasurable pursuits. Virgo, my birth sign, August 23rd through September 22nd. A change will make you lead to personal growth. Tie up loose ends and put the past behind you. Don't get into a dispute, just walk away. Romance is favored. Libras, September 23rd through October 23rd. Verify information, use your intelligence to deter someone from putting demands on you. Be bold and say what's on your mind. Align yourself with people who have something to offer. And finally, Scorpio, October 24th through November 22nd. Take care of emotional matters and it will help you get back on track. A change may not be welcome, but it will be necessary to fulfill an obligation. And the horoscope is an entertainment feature not based on scientific fact. The funerals today in the Acadiana era, we just have one. Betty Darby, David Funeral Home Chapel in New Iberia at 11 a.m. And usually on Fridays, I like to get into some entertainment news. So I do have a couple of those stories for you this morning. The first one, tunes for the holidays. That's right, folks. Christmas music is at hand. Put on the latest Christmas music from Louisiana and beyond to get into the joyous season. Article by entertainment writer John Wirt. A slate full of new Christmas music ripe for holiday season consumption is here for the picking. Singles, EPs, and albums are available for streaming as digital downloads and CDs and LPs pressed in red, white, and green vinyl. Digital singles include American Idol champion Lane Hardy's Please Come Home for Christmas. Livingston Parish native sings a heartfelt version of Charles Brown's Blue Classic from 1960. Other digital debuts from Louisiana artists include classics done Cajun and Creole style by various artists for the EP Joie Noel, Bon Christmas, and New Orleans Bounce star Big Frida's EP Smokin' Santa Christmas. New Orleans Debbie Davis and Matt Perrine have released their delightful Oh Crap, It's Christmas Volume 2, an album, a family album. A full album in both CD and digital formats. Sounds like an SNL skit. This year's digital pop singles also featured Kelly Clarkson and Brett Eldridge's upbeat duet, Under the Mistletoe, Gwen Stefani's Bouncing Here This Christmas, the Jonas Brothers' emotive I Need You Christmas, Lil Nas X Mellow Holiday, and Lime Payne's Reggae Spice Naughty List. Country singles include Florida Georgia Line's Ode to Holiday Drinking, Lit, this year, that's L-I-T, Dan and Shay's Take Me Home for Christmas, and Ingrid Andress's Christmas Always Finds Me. Leslie Odom Jr., Megan Trainor, Casey Musgraves, Google Dolls, and Carrie Underwood are among the many artists releasing albums. Classic reissues include vinyl LPs from Elvis, Johnny Mathis, Gene Autry, Dean Martin, Andy Williams, Perry Como, Kenny Rogers, and Dolly Parton, Alabama, and Phil Spector. Here's more on new holiday albums and EPs. Big Frida, Smoking Santa Christmas, the Pound Screen's digital EP includes Boy Toy Shop and Heating Up the Holiday. I'm sure you can find that on Spotify or any of your digital download services. Plus, you can go to her website. That's Big Frida. Charles Brown, Cool Christmas Blues, the first vinyl edition of Brown's 1994 Christmas album, includes his classics Please Come Home for Christmas and Merry Christmas, Baby. Debbie Davis and Matt Perrine, Oh Crap, It's Christmas Volume 2, a family album. The Imaginary Award for Most Fun New Holiday Album goes to New Orleans jazz and Americana singer Davis and her bass and sousaphone playing husband, Perrine. Friends and family join in, including Dana Kurtz, Can I Interest You in Hanukkah, Anders Osborne, Run Run Rudolph, Paul Sanchez, Susan Calso, and Andre Boran. Available from Debbie Davis Music, that's DEBBIE, davismusic.com. Google Dolls is Christmas All Over. The pop chart scaling rock band used pandemic downtime to record a holiday album, including the Tom Petty composed title song. Vince Guaraldi, Charlie Brown Christmas, this vinyl reissue of the jazz pianist Charlie Brown TV special soundtrack, arrives in assorted colors and picture discs. JoJo, December Baby, the pop star sings a duet with New Orleans P.J. Morton, 4 more new songs and 7 standards. Davy Jones, It's Christmas Time Once More, the 1960s heartthrob, stars in a posthumous album assembled by Monkees producer Chip Douglas, Daydream Believer. Jones' daughter Annabelle and Monkees bandmate Mickey Dolenz contribute vocals. Tori Kelly Christmas, the Grammy-winning pop star, sings a jazz-spiked sleigh ride, gospel-touched Oh Holy Night, and a duet of Let It Snow with Kenny Babyface Edmonds. More standards than 2 original songs. Lady A, On This Winter's Night, the country trio, adds 4 new tracks to its 2012 Christmas album. Maddie and Tay, We Need Christmas, the country duo's EP, includes the songs We Need Christmas and Married Christmas. Tom Mason, Under a Mistletoe Sky, the 3rd Christmas album from the Nashville, Tennessee and Iowa-based singer-songwriter guitarist, yields 10 original songs, most based in vintage rock and roll. Casey Musgraves, the Casey Musgraves Christmas Show, country singer Musgraves soundtrack for the Amazon Prime Christmas show, offers guests James Corden, Lana Del Rey, Zooey Deschanel, Leon Bridges, and Fred Armisen. Leslie Odom Jr., the Christmas album, the Hamilton star, sings favorites and 2 new songs, guest appearances by Cynthia Erivo, the Man's Eye Youth Choir, and Nicolette Robinson. Dolly Parton, A Holly Dolly Christmas, Parton sparkles in her first Christmas album in 30 years with guests Miley Cyrus, Michael Bublé, and Willie Nelson. Meghan Trainor, Very Trainor Christmas, pop star Trainor sings 5 original songs, no favorites, Earth, Wind & Fire, and Seth MacFarlane make guest appearances. Carrie Underwood, My Gift, the country star's first Christmas album, features duet with John Legend. Various artists, Joie Noel, Bon Christmas, the Christmas favorites perform Cajun and Creole style by members of Foufle, Sweet Crude, Revelers, and more. Various artists heading for the Christmas ball, swing and R&B Christmas crooners, vintage jazz, swing, rhythm and blues, and pop from 1947 through 1962, including Louis Armstrong's Christmas in New Orleans and Louis Prima, Shake Hands with Santa Claus. And the last one here on the list, various artists, Happiest Season, Sia, Bebe Rexha, Tegan and Sarah, Anna Marie, and more on the Hulu movie soundtrack to the Happy Season. Now, I've seen that movie on Hulu. It's actually a sort of a new twist or take on relationships and holiday season. It's actually a nice movie to watch. Check it out, Happiest Season. Heard of Redburn Street Pictures? This is the next article. It's a family movie making movies in town by George Morris. 5 years ago, a movie-making family slipped into the Baton Rouge largely unnoticed. A movie now airing on Apple TV Plus, Amazon, and Google Play serves as our coming-out party. The Last Champion, starring Cole Hauser as a disgraced former wrestler who's come home to town and still resents him, is a production of Redburn Street Pictures. As Redburn Street first movie project produced locally, and the family expects it won't be the last. Excuse me. Producer director Glenn Withrow, his wife actress Haley Todd, and their daughter Ivy Withrow co-wrote the movie, and Todd has a significant on-screen role. She is best known as Jo McGuire in the TV series Lizzie McGuire, and she's had a busy acting career, mostly in television, since 1976. Her husband amassed 27 acting credits before deciding to pursue his dream of making movies. Having produced a horror film called The Mooring in 2012 and operating a small studio in Burbank, California, Withrow was doing projects with Louisiana's film industry and found Baton Rouge to his liking. When his daughter was looking at new schools, he suggested she check out LSU's Paul M. Hebert Law Center. She did and received both her Juris Doctor and Diploma in Comparative Law in 2018 and uses her legal expertise for Redburn Street in addition to her writing and co-producer roles. By that time, Mom and Dad were already based here. With the entertainment business, you can be anywhere, Glenn Withrow said. We just figured nowadays you can live wherever you want, and we wanted a better quality of life. We were fine in LA, but it became too much. We fell in love with the people here. We have wonderful friends here. By the time the Withrows arrived, they had already been working on The Last Champion, which took 17 script drafts before they were satisfied. Glenn Withrow, who has been a successful high school wrestler in Kentucky, loved the sport and wanted to feature it in a movie. The sport, however, is more of a setting than the subject. Last Champion is no more about wrestling than Casablanca was about casinos. John Wright has been the small-town hero who won an Olympic medal that was taken away because he used banned performance-enhancing drugs, and he was too ashamed to return. He only comes back after his mother's death to get her run-down home ready to sell, and he ends up coaching his old high school wrestling team, which includes Michael Miller, whose mother is played by Todd. It was a struggle, Withrow said. Wrestling was a perfect metaphor for this film. John Wright is struggling. People are struggling with him coming back into town. Michael, the kid that he winds up mentoring, is struggling with his mother, who is struggling with issues. It was a perfect metaphor for this film. Sean Scully plays Miller, and other key roles are done by Anika Marks, Rento Bandikoff, Peter Ornorati, and Bob McCracken. Two former Olympic wrestling gold medalists, Dan Gable and Randy Lewis, have roles. Hauser, of course, is the headliner. The timing has really been fantastic, Withrow said. Cole has done some really good stuff through the years, but Yellowstone, the Paramount Network drama series, has really brought his talent forward, and it's a coincidence that he had worked with us. When he walked into the office, I knew within 5 minutes that this was a guy who should play John Wright. He's a powerhouse. The Last Champion was filmed in Garfield, Washington, a town of about 600 people near the Idaho border. Because the film is set in a wrestling season, much of it was shot during winter, which was a change for anyone from LA or Louisiana. It got to negative 15 degrees wind chill on some days, Ivy Withrow said. You'd be wearing your snow boots with little heating pads inside, and it did nothing. It was tough. But it's a tough business. Withrow's original plan was for a theatrical release, but COVID-19 made that impossible. The digital platforms could be a blessing in disguise. It's a better business move for independents, Withrow said, and those independents can be anywhere, including Baton Rouge. Okay, in our last entertainment article of the morning, Baton Rouge musician featured in series Music Dreams, an American Story. A documentary about Baton Rouge musician Henry Turner Jr. and the Flavor Band is part of Food Film Music's Be Thankful virtual screening series. The series runs through December 31st. Food Film Music is a storytelling showcase for films about the human experience, according to a news release. Virtual pop-up cinema was formed so patrons can watch movies in the comfort of their own home until it is safe to return to the big screen experience, the release also says. Included in the Turner film are musical performances as well as interviews with band and family members, club owners, musicians, filmmakers, and national and regional entertainment executives. Turner Fountain, the Baton Rouge Mardi Gras Festival 7 years ago. A sneak peek of the upcoming feature documentary, We're Going Down to the Mardi Gras, will also be shown. Baton Rouge-based Mustang Films and Hit City Digital TV produced the first documentary. Executive producer was Charles Bush, and Turner a producer. The Be Thankful screening series also includes a feature-length documentary, One Note at a Time, about musicians returning to New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina to save the music, and a new companion short titled 15 Years Down the Road, Down the feature film is a man behind the white guitar, focusing on Brazilian guitarist Jose Neto. Tickets are $9.99 and available at foodfilmmusic.com. That's foodfilmmusic.com. $1 from each ticket will benefit the West Baton Rouge Museum. An additional $1 will go to Henry Turner Jr.'s Listening Room Museum Foundation. For more information, you can visit westbatonrougemuseum.org and henrylisteningroom.com. Okay, we have time for a couple of sports stories. Let's see. Turning locally to high school football, the number one Wrecking Rams face tough Mandeville by Kevin Foote, staff and sports writer for The Advocate. Like many opposing coaches during Acadiana's 15-year run as a contender in the Class 5A ranks, Mandeville third-year coach Hutch Gonzalez isn't having a hard time figuring out what it's going to take to upset the number one seeded Wrecking Rams. The problem is being able to physically pull off the strategy on the field when his number 8 seeded Skippers travel for Friday's 7 p.m. state quarterfinal at Bill Dotson Stadium in Scott. I think if we can get them out of a comfort zone, then you give yourself a chance, Gonzalez said. If they're able to line up and just pound you for 3.5 yards every down, it's going to be a long night. Whether you have the ability to score or not, it's kind of inconsequential because they can hold the ball so long. You've got to get them into a situation when they're trying to do things that are not the norm for them because you've stopped what they do well. And if you get them to give you the ball back and not possess it for 8 minutes at a time, then you're winning the battle and could certainly help you win the war. The Skippers 8-1 do seem to possess many necessary ingredients to attempt such a feat. Mandeville's defense has 3 shutouts this season and is only allowing 10.7 points per game, and the program's best mark since 2000, 6.4. Mandeville did a real good job on defense, Acadiana coach Matt McCullough said. Lafayette had a hard time moving in on them in a 31-8 win. They play hard in defense. They're not as big as East Ascension, but they've got 8 or 9 back from last year, and they play really hard. They've played really good defense throughout the year. The Skippers also sport a dangerous passing game out of the spread, led by quarterback Devon Todd. I do think their quarterback is really good, and they have a couple of really good receivers, McCullough said. He can throw it. He's a good athlete. They're one of the best offenses we played. Todd, a McNeese State commitment, has thrown for 23 touchdowns and 1,504 yards with only 1 interception. He possesses a 1,000-yard rusher in Douglas McGowan and 172 carries for 1,010 yards and 11 TDs, and a crew of talented receivers and tight ends. The running game is largely powered by 6'8", 350-pound UL commitment, Manny Mahilio. Our quarterback is very good, Gonzalez said. He's a big athletic kid who, as far as high school arms go, he's the best I've ever had. We do have some weapons. Landon Ibidia, 32 catches for 699 yards and 11 TDs, is the top receiver, along with Devin Steele, 13 for 211 yards, 4 TDs, in addition to tight end Caden Costa, 14 for 221 yards and 3 TDs. Costa is also an All-American kicker and Ole Miss commitment. He's the strongest kicker I've ever seen, Gonzalez said. The Rams, who are now 8-1 in the season, counter with one of the top defenses in the state, led by defensive lineman Walter Bobb. 5 sacks, 8 quarterback hurries, and Cameron George, 9 sacks, 18 hurries. Linebackers Derek Bressay, 67 tackles, and Caleb Arsenault, 62 tackles, 3 interceptions, and free safety Ian Mons, 60 tackles, 3 interceptions in the secondary. Their box is phenomenal, so you have to go into a game thinking we're going to have to be successful throwing the ball a little bit to be successful at all, Gonzalez said. We do feel like there are some things that we can bring to the passing game that a lot of other teams probably don't have. The Rams' fair rushing attack is as balanced as ever behind the trio of Tyvon Zeno, Omari Wiggins, and Kevin Williams. The winner will meet the Destrehan Rushton winner in the semifinals. I think we're still steadily getting better, McCall said. Of course, we're playing really well on defense, and we just have to keep getting better on offense. Of course, when you get to this point, it gets harder and harder. This game is going to be tough. This time had like 16 and 17 starters back from a team that went to the quarterfinals. It is now, by my clock, 9:57, which means that we have gone past our 9:55 mark for the audio portion of today's Local News Live over our TV stations. But if you're still listening, you're either listening on our streaming radio service, Cypress Street Radio, that's CYPRESS Street Radio. Just put it in the browser, go to the homepage and click the play button, or our YouTube station, which is AOC Community Media. And I'll read one more sports story here before ending our broadcast for this morning. 3,000 fans allowed at Saints' next home game against Chiefs by Amy Just. New Orleans Saints are planning on having 15,000 fans in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome for their upcoming home game against the reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs on December 20th, but that will no longer be the case because of an increase in coronaviruses and percent positivity, Dr. Jennifer Evango said in a news conference on Thursday. Evango, the director of the New Orleans Health Department, said Thursday that the Saints will go back to having 3,000 fans for the game against the Chiefs. In a statement, the Saints said tickets for the game against the Chiefs will be distributed to season ticket holders during the week of December 14th. The Saints remain on the road this week, playing the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, and have 2 more home games before the playoffs, one versus the Chiefs and their regular season home finale against the Minnesota Vikings on Friday, December 25th. We've been in constant communication with the Saints, Evango said, adding that she also spoke with the Saints medical team on Wednesday. The Saints said in a statement that attendance for the game against the Vikings has still yet to be determined, but it will likely remain at 3,000. The city of New Orleans needed to meet 2 criteria in order to raise the number of fans from 15,000 for the 2 games on December 1st, an average of 100 below cases of coronavirus per day, and to have the percent positivity stay below 5%. If only one of those came to fruition, then no change would be made to attendance. The Saints previously had 6,000 in attendance for the last 2 home games. Okay, that about wraps it up. It's almost 10 a.m. here by my clock, which means that we do the Local News Live every Monday through Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. Here, we do it, the audio portion until 9:55 is on our TV stations, but we also are aired live on our Cypress Street Radio, which is a streaming live network, and on YouTube station AOC Community Media. If you're interested in being part of the Newspaper Volunteer Reading Corps, you can go to our homepage, which is AOC Inc., that's AOCINC.org. Pull down the volunteer tab, look for the newspaper reading volunteer form, fill it out, and Miss Mandy will get in touch with you, set you up where all the readers are doing it from their home locations, since going into the studio is not an option at this point. I'm here in my lovely home, doing it from my home studio this morning. And we're very happy to bring you this service every Monday through Friday, as I said, from 9 to 10 a.m. As I always say every broadcast, this is Bruce Cohen. It has been Bruce Cohen, will always be Bruce Cohen. And I appreciate you tuning in. I want you to be safe and healthy and smart. Continue to be smart, folks. Really, I can't say this enough. Just be smart. We're trying to stop the spread, and we're trying to maintain this thing. Cases are spiking, and we're in the holiday season. Just be smart. If you have to regulate this year to Zoom visitations with your family members, so be it. Just think about that. If you did have the virus, you don't want to spread it to anybody else. And sometimes you don't know you have it. You're asymptomatic. So just be careful out there. Be smart. Wear your mask, do all the protocols, and let's just try to stop the spread and get this thing where we now have vaccines. So we have the light at the end of the tunnel, as I said. So let's keep it going. All right. And as always, I encourage you to be kind to each other. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the flip-flop on Monday.